What's up? Welcome everybody to another episode of the Pizza Palace. Sean, how are you, my friend?
Dude, doing great.
Awesome.
Doing great. Yeah,
Of course, your host, Robert Winstanley, alongside the. Hold on, I got to point the. It's kind of weird. You have to point the opposite direction, but okay, there we go. My co-host, of course, Sean Murphy.
Yeah, referred now as Sean Moneybags Murphy
That's right.
because we hit 1,000 subscribers.
We did.
And as you know, once you reach monetization on YouTube,
Instant
you
millionaire.
immediately rich.
Immediately.
Yeah,
Yes.
they talk about, those CPMs, man.
Are people already hitting you up for some cash?
Brother, I'll be making about $50 a year. I'm so excited. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna live off of that.
Some
50
small
bucks.
like
Let's go.
$5 payments here and there from
Uh-huh.
AdSense.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's some things and there's some plans of what I want to do.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, I'm excited to see like when we actually get approved, what kind of possible settings and stuff they'll allow us to do.
Mhm.
Because I have some ideas of stuff I want to pull off, but just got to see what's available first. But I mean, yeah, it's exciting. It's getting 1,000 subscribers
It's
is
a really big
really
deal.
hard.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just thank you everyone that's tuning in and supporting the channel and everything that we're doing. And yeah, it's
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's subscribed because it really is a big deal to us, and it means a lot that you have been with this channel since the beginning, some of you. So
on March 1st, we were at 234 subscribers.
it's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our live
Yeah,
count is
love it.
currently 1,080 subscribers.
We taking over. Yeah.
And I think we just lost about 300 people.
Yeah, we we no longer are
Unfortunately,
eligible.
yeah, we
Uh-huh.
unfortunately just lost everybody thanks
We
to that.
actually
So
are banned now.
you
We are gonna
we got
um
demonetized just for you being a dumbass.
we are now gonna be only on Tidal.
OnlyFans.
Uh-huh. And then we're also
Mhm.
gonna be on, what's the name of that company, that Triller. We're gonna be from F Corp,
Yo, Triller, my shit is
Yeah.
flipped.
We're gonna be the best basketball account on Trump's Twitter alternative, Truth.
my shit is flipped. Speaking of shit that's flipped, back and forth flipped has been the Celtics and the Heat series. It has been blowout after blowout, back and forth. Neither team seems to be willing to play defense consistently or offense consistently. Both teams have traded looking completely lost and going down by double digits frequently. Not really sure what's going on. I'm not even sure who the better team is because it kind of literally depends on the night. Because sometimes
Right.
the Heat looks so good that you're like, oh, the Celtics are fucked. Like, this isn't their year. They were, hot and now they're not. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, there's the Celtics. They could win the whole championship. And like it makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then there's been like off and on injuries, and it's like, oh, that injury is going to completely fuck them, and then they're fine and they win the game by 30 or whatever, and then it's like, oh, that injury might hurt. It's
Right.
like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So
So
I have the Heat hat here with a tomato because the last we saw them, it was embarrassing, so I'd like to throw a tomato at them.
well, even the thing that's kind of crazy if you really think about it, even like the outside of 2 quarters,
Mm-hmm.
the Celtics have been the better team. There were
Sure.
2 quarters where the Celtics have played just really bad basketball. Like bad basketball. And the Heat were just unstoppable offensively. They clamped down. They did whatever they needed to do. And so in my opinion, now you're seeing this past game. This is really what my concern was on the Miami Heat, because you look at what happened, and what happened was their health really came to bite him in the ass. Jimmy Butler was on the court, but he was a shell of himself. Robert, do you know how many points the Miami starting five had in game 4?
I want to say it was like 18.
It was 18.
Yeah.
They had 18 points as a unit.
Yeah.
In a play.
Really bad. I watched that game.
That's unacceptable in a regular season game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
that just can't happen
Yeah.
in a playoff game. And so, obviously, injuries, health, all that stuff is a thing. Boston's defense, they showed up and played great, but that's going to be the thing is we're going to be as we're now down to a best of 3.
Mm-hmm.
You would think the urgency is going to be there on both sides now because like for whatever reason now like honestly game 1 it just felt like Miami went on a run. Boston was outmanned because they didn't have Marcus Smart.
Mm.
Game 2, reality set in. Boston had their guys back. Marcus Smart took over. Game 3, Boston played with their food, came out twiddling with their privates, letting Miami do whatever the hell they want.
Right.
And then game 4, it was Boston just had it from the beginning, and
Yeah.
there was no reality Miami
No,
was
the
going to win
entire
that
game
game.
was just a nightmare after the first
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah, from the tip.
Like, yeah, pretty much. It was just like instantly, like they went down, I think 10, like within the first minute or something like that. And I was like, oh, they're fucked. Okay, cool.
But it's
Like it was
also
just it was over like instantly.
but you know what's interesting too, Robert, is that it's also a testament to the pros and cons of both of these teams. Like the
Mm-hmm.
questions that we have about them because their pros and cons have been at full display at their peaks and valleys in this series. Like when Miami's clicking, you could see why they're a finals caliber team. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like when Jimmy Butler is
100%.
when Jimmy Butler's taking over games, when Kyle Lowry is healthy and playing like the guy that they signed in free agency, when Bam
Oladipo's
had a
starting to look good again.
when Bam
Sorry, I was cutting in and
Adebayo,
out.
yeah, when Bam Adebayo plays well on the defensive end, there's just like those things make a huge difference.
Right,
And
and when
and so
Oladipo's back to being what he, was, and he looked actually really good last night. He was like one of the only people that looked pretty
yeah,
good.
Duncan Robinson
Robinson
and
being out, also Tyler Hero's out.
Duncan Robinson came in
Oh,
last
did he?
night he actually played really well.
Oh,
He lit it up the second half. It's not that he's out. They've been sitting him.
oh, that's
He
right.
yeah, it's yeah, he's available. This is very much a Jared Goff playoff with the Rams situation a couple of years ago where he's like, "Hey, I'm healthy." They're like, "We know." Like
Which
you know
is
what I'm
weird though, because Duncan Robinson, I mean, he's a
he
pretty good player. So
he's
I
had a
don't.
bad season. He's had a bad
Yeah.
so he started out with the shooting with those shooting woes,
Right.
and it never fully recovered. Like he just became really stretchy this year as far as his
Yeah.
shooting goes.
Yeah.
And Max Strus was better on the defensive end and then
Hmm.
started to hit shots more consistently than Duncan. And so they just made the switch and went with the hot hand. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Well.
it's one of those things where, like, in my opinion, I mean, listen, Duncan Robinson's a good player. I don't think I
Mhm,
think it would be foolish to quit on him right
I do
now.
too.
But having said that, not a great start to the super expensive contract you just signed him to. But having said that,
Yes,
I think Miami should be proud of like where the season's been so far,
for
that they're
sure.
in the position that they're in.
Mhm,
Having said that, in my personal opinion,
mhm.
Boston's gonna bend them over and just rail them the rest of the series. I think it's gonna be Boston in 6.
Um, uh, maybe. I think the thing that gives me a lot of pause there is that there was still very clearly some lingering injuries for the Celtics. Like even Tatum
Mhm.
wasn't completely okay. Like he kept having to have his shoulder worked on and this and that. So, depending on how
Yeah.
aggravated those injuries end up, I think, obviously the next game very well could be another, bad situation if they get off, if the Heat get off to a slow start. They do get frazzled easily to where it's hard for them to kind of come back in some ways.
Mhm.
But if the game becomes a bit of a war and those guys go down again, then I think that health is going to kind of it's the
It's
way
an
playoffs
ugly
work.
physical series.
Yeah, it really is. But you know, in some ways, that's kind of the compelling thing about it, right? Is because we
Yeah.
haven't seen a really like slobber knocker kind of, sort of back and forth of a yes. Had to bring some
Slobber knocker.
That's right. I had to bring in some wrestling. No, you know,
Oh my God, it's a slobber knocker. He
we
fell off the Hell in a Cell. My God, he is broken in half. I'm sorry. Anyway, you were saying?
no, I feel like we haven't seen this in a while. So
Right.
it's kind of nice to see. The thing for me too that's compelling is the fact that whoever wins this series, and ultimately goes on to the championship, and likely I think of these two teams, they're probably the championship favorite, I would say.
I would say Golden State, the way they've looked over the past. I mean, Steph Curry, I think, really wants to get that Finals MVP as well. I mean, in my opinion, I still think if Boston wins this series, I still would put them as the favorite. If it was Miami, I think it'd be a toss up just because again, I'm just wondering who's going to be healthy and available if Miami gets to the finals
It's kind of
because
the same thing with the Celtics though. Even if the
yeah,
Celtics like outlast Miami,
but
depending on.
but I think the one thing Boston has in favor, like the one advantage they have in that light is that it's easier to to put a band-aid on it and go out there when you're a younger team than you are when you're an older team. And I would
Yeah, the
say
Heat.
that's the challenge because when you are an older team like the Heat are, you just it just takes longer to come back from injury. It just
Mm,
does. Whereas like Marcus Smart, he's still like, obviously he's been dealing with his stuff, but like he's the type of guy that if he has a torn ACL, he'll tape that shit up and get out there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for
I,
sure, for
I
sure.
I'm not and obviously I'm not saying that it's not a factor for Boston. I'm just saying that since they're younger, I just think for them it's not as big of an issue. But like if Miami's without Jimmy Butler,
Yeah, that's almost insurmountable.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's always been my concern with the Heat. It's never been Jimmy Butler. It's the
sure.
ancillary pieces around Jimmy Butler because it's kind of like the going to work Pistons, right? Like if you need all of the pieces to be firing on all cylinders in order for that team to do well.
Right,
If Richard Hamilton's having an off shooting night, Ben Wallace isn't going to be able to pick up the slack.
right.
Tayshaun Prince can maybe hit a shot or two, but he's not going to pick up the slack. Like everyone needs to go out and do their role. Like if Ben Wallace isn't protecting the paint, Chauncey's not going to be able to get a block on Shaq, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
that pretty much describes the Heat in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, it really is,
yeah,
each guy has to be doing their role, and if they're not, then yeah, it is tough for the other guys to kind of like overcompensate for it.
yeah,
Yeah, it is, when we've seen guys have a bit of a if like one guy is having a bit of a scoring issue or a slump or a this or that, it literally makes everyone else grind to a halt and struggle to score because it's like, okay, well that guy's struggling, so we don't have to worry about him as much, so we can defend the other guys a little more, and the other guys are
right.
like shit. So yeah, it's kind of yeah, they're pretty much built to work as a unit and not much else. Um yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say because like Golden State's an interesting team to me because I feel like in some ways I've been proven right, and also in some ways I've been sort of convinced of the criticism that I was pushing back on. And what I mean by that is Golden State, I feel like a lot of people have just kind of thrown away and sort of looked down at for the last couple of years of as
Mhm.
being sort of washed and kind of like, oh, it's over. Like Golden State was, they aren't now.
Right,
And I've pushed back on that heavily and said that's complete horseshit. And that I felt like the Golden State Warriors literally just needed their most important players healthy, and they would go right back to being a championship team.
right.
And then that happened, and they are literally doing that. And I'm like, I fucking told you all.
So, and I agree with that, but I think Robert, the interesting thing though is that on the surface, it definitely looks like that's what happened was once they got their guys healthy, they were able to just turn it around. But the thing that Golden State did that people don't really talk about is even though they lost games these last couple of years and they had some ugly basketball, you know what it allowed them to do? It allowed them to develop their bench. It allowed them to
Mm,
develop the players around Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Because you know who was getting number one reps during all those bad seasons, Robert? Jordan Poole. Last year, Jordan
true.
Poole was down in the G League for a part of the year because he was struggling. Like the thing about this Warrior system, they call it strength in numbers. And the reason why is because it's guys like Gary Payton Jr. who can come off the bench and defend their best player. It's guys like Draymond Green, who, even though he's not the traditional star, he's one of the
What are you
most.
talking about? Max Kellerman said he would take him any day of the week.
Oh, fate of the universe on the line. Give me Iguodala.
It's
I
my
mean, that's a great dude. That's a
like,
great
god
one.
damn it.
Oh, dude, so good. But I mean, like that. But like, truly, that's the thing. Even Iguodala being a guy like who's like as old as he is, who's coming off of injury. Hopefully, he'll be ready to go by the finals. He said, but
Sure.
like, that's the thing that's special about even Andrew Wiggins, a guy who
Mm.
3-4 years ago came to the Warriors. Everyone said, "Oh well, why would you bring him in? That's a terrible move." I knew in the back of my head, I was like, y'all literally just let the Warriors get a former number one overall pick player, like who can play, and if given a shrunken role, which he's been given in Golden State, they just put him in positions to succeed.
Yeah.
And do you see what he did to Luca last night or the other night? Like that
Yeah.
guy, holy, it's insane, man.
Yeah,
So
no, for sure. Like, and you're right. And I think that as things have went on and as the playoffs have sort of worn on, for sure, I've definitely noticed a stark difference in this Golden State team compared to what they were, for sure. As well as, yeah, seeing kind of that changing of the guard, of seeing, it's not just a Steph thing and it's not just a Clay thing or whatever. Obviously they have to rely on different guys. Now, obviously Steph is still Steph and all that kind of good stuff, but yeah, I I have seen a lot of that now, and why people were making that criticism and stuff like that. So in some ways, yeah, that's kind of my point of, I was proven right on some level of, like, this team, it probably could or should win the championship this year.
yep,
Just like I fucking said. But it has got a lot of nuance to that, where, the people who were wrong weren't totally wrong. It's just that things went better than they expected on some level.
right.
Um, I,
Well, you know what's
I
crazy
think,
too?
yeah,
This team had a number 2 overall pick
yeah,
that
exactly.
they whiffed on.
Yes.
That the pick didn't go well.
No. Who was that again?
James Wiseman.
Wiseman.
Yeah, he literally hasn't played all year. Just keeps having injury setbacks. Just
Yikes.
he's played 25 games in his career and hasn't really been available.
Swing and a
So
miss.
they could have had LaMelo Ball.
Yes, which is who I thought they were going to take, and they absolutely should have taken, but they didn't. So,
I the
whoops.
what they were going for made sense.
Yes,
Obviously, hindsight's 2020.
for
I
sure.
still think he can be a good player, but I
He
mean,
ain't going to be no
they don't
LaMelo.
even need him to be, apparently, because Kevon Looney apparently can come in and just be like a Akeem Olajuwon on and off if you need him to be. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I you know what's so funny is it's like I was like, the second that the Warriors are healthy, I said that they would win the championship, or they would be back. Fuck you, would go back to being a championship team.
yeah,
Uh, and yet now that they are, I feel like as they're at the tip of the mountain almost, I'm just like, I don't have as much faith in them. Like, I look at Miami, or I look at especially Boston, and I go, I think that if they end up in, the championship together, I'm taking Boston 100%. I think
well,
the Heat, it is true. Like, as much as I love the
mhm.
Heat, like, I'm able to admit that would be a very tough series. I think that would be a very grueling series, and it would come down to the Heat's health in a lot of ways. Um,
Especially with the Warriors' ball movement and how fast
yes.
their offense. Because
Yes,
the
the
thing
Heat
is,
struggle with
yeah,
that, big time. If
yeah,
another team is coming at them fast and furious, they fucking just freeze.
Yeah.
So they need to create the tempo, and then they would be okay from there. But
And then
yeah,
I
that would
wonder
be
for the
tough. But
Warriors.
Boston, that'd be
I wonder for the Warriors though. That would be a really awkward matchup for them with Boston, just for how much length they have. I
yeah.
mean, obviously offensively, I still think they would be able to do a lot of damage, but I mean, good luck guarding that lineup. I mean, Steph's not going to be able to take off any possessions. Like he's going to have to be active and ready to go. And that's for the entire lineup because you have guys like you can't discount Al Horford when he's on the court ever. Like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both number one caliber offensive players that can play make as well now. Marcus
Yeah.
Smart is even an improved 3-point shooter.
Right.
He even has nights where it's just like, dude, you look different. So I'm looking at it truly is crazy that we're kind of down to the final weeks of the regular season or the postseason,
Mm.
and there's legitimately 3 teams that we could still say have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah,
Dallas,
because the Mavs are out.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I mean, well, yeah, no team's ever come back from a 3-0 deficit, and the Mavericks have been great. But listen, first of all, they shouldn't have been here. This
right.
was the every single year in the playoffs, in my opinion, you get at least one team that it's the bigger than their britches team.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what
the
I mean?
Cinderella team.
Yeah, yeah. It's the team that got to the big boy table, but wasn't ready for what came with being at the big boy table. You
You know
know?
what's fucked up is that happens every year in the NHL too, and they always make it to the Stanley Cup final and then they lose.
Yep. So like it was the Atlanta Hawks last year.
Yeah, for sure.
This year it was them. And
Mavs.
because first of all, Phoenix should not have lost that game.
No.
If that game gets replayed, in my opinion, Phoenix wins it 9 times out of 10. That was an anomaly of a shit storm.
Agreed.
But at the same time, they were the better team. They got here. But I mean, again, the other thing, you need help around your guys. You can't just have Luka.
It's just Luka on that team,
It is
basically. Yeah.
just Luka. It is
Right.
so heliocentric, so ball centric with him. So like when looking at what the Pistons could do in the draft, I'm saying, hey, getting one of these guards, whether it's Ivy, whether it's Sharp, wouldn't be a bad thing because having another guy who can handle the ball and can get his own offense and make it so that Cade doesn't have to have the ball in his hands at all times.
Yes.
That wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, as far as the playoffs breakdown right now, obviously the Warriors play tonight. This episode will likely be posted tomorrow, so by this time the Warriors, I assume, have already swept the Mavericks, and so it is what it is. And then it's just basically waiting on Boston and Miami. I don't think that Miami is out just yet. I think that this is going to continue to be a good and tough series, especially because of my concerns.
It could very well go 7.
Especially the concerns with health on the Celtics. But I will admit, especially based on last night and based on really the whole series, kind of like you said, it's weird because it is tied 2-2. And obviously there were some moments where the Heat looked unbelievable. But for the most part, it's kind of been the Celtics series to lose. And the Celtics kind of just fucked up a couple of games. And I just think, like, push comes to shove, like, I think the Celtics likely will win the series. And then, yeah, if it's Golden State and the Celtics, as long as that Celtics team comes out of this Heat series not too banged up, I don't know. I think I'm taking the Celtics to win the championship at this point. As much as I talked about it being guaranteed for the Warriors for the last few seasons. I think the Celtics likely take it. I would love nothing more than the Heat to be able to recover from last night, get to the finals, and then somehow lock down Steph Curry and friends and be able to secure themselves a championship.
Even for all the bad losses there have been in this series, that was a bad loss.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That was the only one that felt like, oh, fuck. Like the other ones were like bad, but
yeah, it didn't feel reminiscent like the The
It was
difference
like the
between
Suns' loss.
the Sun, yeah, like it wasn't to me. It wasn't as bad as the Suns loss in the sense that they still have the chance to go out and redeem yourself.
Yes.
Whereas that was Game 7. Like that was like,
Right.
nope, your season's done.
Yeah.
Potentially your run together's done.
Yeah.
Get the out of here and go to Cancun.
For
Like
sure.
yeah, like dude, and like oh my god, and dude, people still don't talk about the other thing that no one brings up. They still have the Robert Sarver investigation. Their owner is still being investigated by the NBA, and nothing has come out about it, which almost feels like that's worse.
It does, doesn't it? I really
Yeah,
feel
like
like
you'd
Booker
almost
is
want there.
likely gone. I think Booker's gonna be like, "Well, it's been real," and I feel like Chris Paul is just kind of a fossil that's still hanging on. And I think it's time to just
He's apparently he's a cone.
it's time to just accept things for what they are, sell the team, and move them to Vegas. Who says no? Who says no?
Who says no?
The Vegas Suns, baby, let's go. Who
Yeah,
says no?
Vegas Suns. Let's go. Who
Vegas
says
Suns.
no? Yeah, who
Mark
says
Davis
no?
can buy the team. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
You know?
who gives a fuck? I'm
He
gonna
owns.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quickly. I'll be
Yeah,
right
go
back.
ahead.
I'm
Go
really
ahead.
sorry.
Okay, you're
My
good.
asshole's on fire. I'll be right
Jesus
back.
fucking Christ.
It won't
All
be long.
right. Jesus. I'm sorry you all had to hear that. Let's see here. Let us talk about some NHL then whilst he is gone. Unfortunately, the Florida Panthers get swept by the Lightning, which I kind of saw coming. It's one of those deals. A lot of people I think are making it a little bit bigger of a deal than I think that it is. Obviously, it sucks. I mean, the Panthers had an unbelievable and record-setting season, and they were really, really, really fucking good, and probably should have won the championship. But same thing was said about the Lightning a couple of years back when they got swept by Columbus. Now, of course, very different, I feel like, in some ways, but I think there's a comparison to be made. I think the Lightning, they've been a strange team, right? Because they haven't been this de facto, like, oh, they're going to win the championship, of course, this season type team like they were the last two. But I still think that they very well have a chance. And I feel like I don't understand how a team that won back to back Stanley Cups is looked at right now as being sort of as like a sure, whatever. Like I feel like no one's talking about them in any sort of spectacular way, and I'm like, guys, it's still the Lightning, and they proved as much in this series. Now, I think honestly, one of the biggest difference makers was simply Vasilevsky. So the Panthers need to go out; they need to get themselves a true goaltender. I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know who's necessarily going to be available, but I think going out and getting yourself an actual, true goalie is the move. Now, of course, they thought they had that by signing Bobrovsky to a pretty big deal, but it just hasn't worked out, and I think it's time to move on. I think coaching wise, also, a lot of people just want to instantly throw Trotz in there and be like, oh, that'll solve the problem. He's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. I think he's amazing, and I would be happy to have him on any of any team. Really, I mean, I would love him to come to the Red Wings. That'd be great. Going to the Golden Knights, I would love to think that I would love it, but that team is a complete shit show right now in the front office. So I'm like, I don't know that I necessarily want to waste a year of Trotz. As much as I would love to see him hopefully fix the Golden Knights, but I don't know if he's the answer for Florida necessarily, and I don't also know if I would totally bail on the coach completely. I don't know if that's really who I put the blame on. Um, it's tough. I think sometimes these things just happen, which is a really shitty way of sort of, analyzing the series and stuff like that. But it just kind of was what it was with this one. And after they narrowly escaped elimination in the first round, we kind of all saw it coming, or at least I thought so. Right now, the let's see, the Hurricanes and the Rangers are playing. It is currently 1-0 Rangers in the first with 6:25 to go. Carolina has looked nothing short of great, and the Rangers have had a great run. I don't know that they're ready for the Stanley Cup, so I think that the Hurricanes will probably take this and continue on. They're a really, really solid team, which is actually kind of a surprise because they, in some ways, I thought kind of fumbled this offseason, and then obviously that has not been the case. The Rangers are poised to win Stanley Cups, like multiple. And I've been saying that for a while now, and they are very much proving it this season. I love Gerard Gallant. I think he's a great coach. I think they're going to be fine. So, I just don't know that this year is necessarily the year. And then we got the Flames and the Oilers. The Oilers are up 2-1. This season or this series is kind of interesting. Like the Flames have been fucked for so long that I'm like, I kind of want to see them succeed and get over the hump. But the same could be said about the Oilers too. And they have Connor McDavid, and I really hate seeing his career wasted, and Leon Draisaitl for that matter. So it's kind of weird from like a hockey fan's perspective. It's like, which one would you rather see? Um, and the same thing could honestly be said about Colorado, who I think is very close to just wrapping up this series with the Blues. The Blues have put up a good fight. You know, I don't even really know how the Blues got here because I thought they were just sort of like a middling team all season long, anyways. Um, but whatever, you know, Colorado's up 3-1. Colorado's another team that you don't necessarily want to see them waste what they have going. And their team's fairly young, but at the same time, you don't want to see them start to turn into the Maple Leafs or whoever and just kind of, you know, the years keep ticking by. So um, I think so far in the playoffs, everyone that should be there is kind of there, which is nice. I think really the only Cinderella team left. I mean, I don't know. The Blues, but there's no fucking way they're coming back from 3-1. But everyone else, I mean, is solid. The Rangers, you could say in some ways are, but that's a little unfair because at times they were really, really a top team all season. So no one too crazy. I mean, we had like the Canadians who didn't belong anywhere in the fucking playoffs last year, and yet somehow they made it to Stanley Cup. Same thing with the Stars, like another team that's fucking worthless, and they somehow made it to the Stanley Cup. So like, at least the thing that I'm happy about as a hockey fan is that I can watch a hopefully competitive and awesome Stanley Cup this year, seeing that there's no garbage fucking teams left. Unless somehow the Blues were to make it all the way there, but that would be unbelievable. And at that point, I would have to just hand it to them. But yeah, there's no stupid fucking teams in here that are gonna make it. Which, funny enough, my Vegas Golden Knights are the only reason that those stupid fucking teams even made in the first place. I mean, Vegas fucked up and allowed the Stars to make it past them. Same thing happened with the Canadians, and so it's like it should have been the Golden Knights who should have won those games and should have won or should have went to the Stanley Cup, not necessarily won the thing, but it should have been Lightning Knights probably back to back, to be honest. And honestly, I'd give it to the Lightning both times either way, just because Vegas is still figuring it out, and Vasilevsky's unbelievable. But if I had to call things right now, I would probably say the Lightning make it to the Cup, and then probably either the Oilers or the Avalanche, probably the Avs, and I'd say probably the Lightning win 3 in a row. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Whatever just came out of my ass
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm about to end the pod.
Was demonic.
I hate you so much. I just wrapped up the entire NHL playoffs basically. So
look, you kept going.
Oh yeah. I just basically did the entire NHL playoffs. So you can cut out you talking about shit if you want, or you can leave it in. Fuck it.
Oh, we're leaving that in. I think that adds to the story. I think from now on we should just make it a running bit where I'm gonna go take a poop, and that's like our hockey segment.
I mean, that's pretty much what it always turns into. You're like, oh, I have to get my groceries or this or that. So yeah. So I just basically
the thing that always happens on the podcast.
You always get your groceries or, you know, have to go to the bathroom or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, yeah, I basically was just talking about, you know, the hockey playoffs, how they're going, and the fact that the Panthers got swept, which was both a surprise and not a surprise, and kind of my take on that and whatever. I know a lot of people have, you know, some people have been overreacting. Some people are kind of, you know, I don't know, but.
Well, so the first round had 6 game 7s?
Yeah, the first round was incredible. And I was saying that I'm just really happy this season that there's no like bullshit team left, pretty much, which is nice. And the Golden Knights aren't in it anymore, which means that the bullshit teams can't make it because Vegas was the idiots who always let the bullshit teams make it. Because you see, the Golden Knights should have made it to the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years, but instead they lost to the Dallas Stars, who didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. And then they lost to the Canadians, who also didn't deserve to be there. And both teams made it to the Stanley Cup. So the Vegas Golden Knights are who we have to thank for seeing 2 shitty Stanley Cups back to back, which pretty much just gave an easy fucking win to the Lightning because Jesus Christ, the Stars fucking suck. In the Canadians, I think they just got the number 1 overall pick or something like that this year because
so what you're saying is that
garbage.
The Golden Knights are really just the Tampa Bay Lightning front office.
Basically,
they
because
just
they
clear
just
the
clear
path
the
for them.
path. Yeah, because they make it there, and then they're just like, "Oh, is that a shitty team? Oh, well, we'll just lay down for
So you
this."
should
So
really be a Lightning fan because
I
then
hate
you
you with all
actually
my heart.
because then you would get the fruit of your labors.
Fuck you so hard. But no, I was saying
Am
that
I wrong?
I was saying that I think the Lightning might win 3 this year. We'll see. We'll see.
They can do
Could
it.
be 3 in a row. I think that they're really that good, especially Vasilevsky's just that good at taking over a game. I mean, the amount of shutouts he posts in the playoffs is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that I'm just like either way that it ends up, I'm like there's so many great teams left. Like thank Christ,
Yep.
because it was kind of like if the fucking Celtics played the Timberwolves or something like that for the last couple of years, where it's like, are you like stop it? God damn
So
it!
so the
Like
Timberwolves,
stop it!
they actually just made a huge move. They
I
actually
saw
went and
that.
yeah,
I
so they
saw that
went
they poached what is the GM
yeah, the president of the
or
Nuggets, they went and poached him to come run the Minnesota Timberwolves. And not only did they pay him like a 5-year, $30 million contract,
they also gave him ownership stake, didn't they?
ownership stake as well. So
Crazy.
they are, and this is a guy who's considered one of the better executives in the league. Helped put together that Denver roster, and if healthy, that's a really good team. That's one of the best rosters constructed in the league. He found Nikola Jokic in the second round. He got Jamal Murray. He got got Michael Porter Jr. That whole roster that they have is
Yeah,
thanks to him, right?
yeah, which is
And so
awesome.
now for Minnesota, a team that has struggled to be in the playoffs or be relevant or
Mm,
get good players in their draft and to capitalize on the young stars that they have because they do have one of the better young cores in the league, in my opinion. And
sure.
so now you get a guy who can come in and hopefully he can actually bring in the pieces, make some good draft picks, make some decisions to actually turn this ship around. And this can actually bring some winning basketball to Minnesota. Robert, I did see a rumor today. I'm not sure the validity, but it did not from what I can remember, it did not look like it was from Ballsack Sports. So, I'm gonna double check here, but all reports are suggesting that, yep. So, okay, yep. This is not from Ballsack Sports. So I feel good saying this.
Gotta love
Um,
Balls
it's
exports.
from Legion Hoops. It's a rumor, and it's that the NBA is expected to announce 2 new expansion teams in Seattle and Vegas
Yes.
after their media rights deal expires in 2024. So
Let's fucking go, baby.
so now, Minnesota, it's like, all right, well, your team's not going anywhere, but
Yeah.
also now hopefully this can be a new era where you guys can turn the tide and really make this team make some noise because in my
That's
opinion,
huge. Doesn't A-Rod own part of the team now?
yeah, he's one of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
owners. So actually his ownership group or that the minority ownership stake, they were actually the ones behind getting this deal done.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so they've actually reportedly been in talks for a couple months now. Apparently as soon as the Denver Nuggets were eliminated from contention, they
Yeah.
were just like, "Hey, so
We
remember
could you
the
in.
Timberwolves? Oh, hi, member. We have pocketbooks." And then they were
Yeah.
just like, "Please come to Minnesota."
Yeah.
And this is the second great executive in a row that the Denver Nuggets just let walk for nothing.
Yikes.
Before this, they had a guy named Asai Ujiri who then accepted a job for the Toronto Raptors
Mm.
and got them to where they're at now. And
Are you
now
good over there? What are you doing?
I am putting something in a charger. So
I see.
yeah, 100%. Sorry about that, but
No, you're good.
yeah, I'm distracted. Dude,
I
honest to
I
God,
couldn't help but point it out because I was just like, I know that I'm distracted and so would be the viewers that I'm like, I have to point out what the fuck
I'm
is he
starting
doing?
to be convinced I have ADHD. But anyway, that's all.
What you?
So anyway,
first of all, you and all of America, but I mean, hey,
yeah. But anyway,
I used to be on medicine for it, and then it made me feel like dog shit, and I was just like, I'm not gonna take this fucking synthetic heroin anymore. I'm done.
yeah. No, I don't blame you. Honestly, like
Or was
you
it
know,
synthetic cocaine? It's one of the two. It's like a synthetic of like the same drug, which is
well,
like cool.
autism and ADHD are so closely linked, and since I was
That
technically on the
explains a
spectrum
lot
at one
about us.
point when I was younger,
Still are.
like anyway, so
Yeah.
I think having Seattle and Vegas in the NBA fold would be really fun.
First of all,
Uh,
having the Supersonics back is a must.
yeah, the Supersonics has to be the name. There's no
Yes.
there like you bring back that brand. You
Yes.
really do. And then in my opinion, after that, Vegas, I am so curious to see what their branding is in the NBA because if they get the branding right, they could immediately be one of the coolest market teams in the league. Like
I'm
this
just
could have
happy to finally have a team.
well, I know, but like, dude, just wait
This
until
is
the
literally what I've
branding's
been
good.
waiting for. We also need a baseball team, but I'm just like, finally, I have a fucking team coming eventually. Because I've
Right.
been just kind of like a team whore for a while in the NBA, going like, I don't know. So as soon as we get Vegas, I'm very excited. We got the Raiders, we
Right.
got the Golden Knights, and then we'll have the whatevers. The Aces are great.
Yeah.
I
I'm
like
glad
them a
like
lot.
finally we're
So
just embracing the Vegas sports, like Vegas as a sports city because in
me
my
too.
opinion, like imagining like Las Vegas in the NBA finals, like that would be an epic matchup. And also, we have to get James Harden on the Vegas team at
Don't you wish that on
all
me?
costs.
Don't you wish that on me?
We
Please.
need Vegas Harden.
I just hate that
It's just meant to
so much.
be, Robert.
I know, but I don't want it because I want them to win. I want to be I want I want T-Mobile to be rocking, and I want it to be fucking awesome. And I want to win a championship. And if James Harden comes, then that means that it's just another laughingstock team in Vegas, and I would not like to deal with that. So
Yeah, I do not envy the Philadelphia 76ers situation, but yet again, Robert, I feel this way with the Lakers. I feel this way with the 76ers. Like,
they're fucked.
could have told you. Like, I kind of felt like the 76ers were fucked before this year.
Yep.
And then then it almost feels like with what they just did with trading Ben Simmons and now having the James. I'd rather have Ben Simmons than James Harden right now. Like with
No.
their I mean, I understand, but like
No.
I understand, but like
Yeah,
I
it's
would rather have
close. It's very close.
I would rather have Ben Simmons and all the assets that I gave up to get James Harden
Yes.
than have James Harden. Like
Yes.
I would rather have not done the trade and
Yes.
had Ben
Correct.
Simmons just sit out the rest of the year.
Yes.
Because
And
at
let him
that
walk.
point, yeah, because at that point you can at least do a different trade.
Yes.
So it's just to
Yeah, they're
say,
fucked.
yeah, man, to say they're chalked is an understatement.
Yeah, it's
It's
over.
just it is just it's straight up not a good time, Robert. Just
It isn't.
really excited to see where they take it and how Daryl Morey just wastes the
I gotta tell
prime of
you.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, which is a shame, but also I have almost no investment in him or the team, so I'm like, who gives a shit? If they suck, they suck.
Honestly,
If
the
they
way he
die, they
carries
die.
himself,
Cares.
Joel Embiid honestly just reminds me so much like Charles Barkley, where it's like he's
Oh
a
yeah.
hooper, but when push comes to shove, he's kind of more focused on being like a troll, and like he's more focused on being troll Embiid than he is on being like a great leader. And like
Maybe he can
like
go to the Suns.
I don't like all the passive aggressive. I don't like all the passive aggressive stuff Embiid was doing in the media. I don't like. I
Yeah.
just I just don't like anything about what they have to
Yeah,
offer as a
they're
franchise. It's like once you realize when you have Cade Cunningham and like what it's like to actually have a star that you want, you realize the situations that aren't good. And it's like man, for once, like the Pistons, I just feel like I'm in such a good spot. I just feel so confident about our future.
They have a great culture, man.
Yeah, we do. And we have a great star to build around as well. It's just
1,000%.
yeah, dude,
Really great young core.
I'm just thinking about going to LCA next year, dude.
I know, me too.
Like what Cade's gonna be like in year 2,
Oh,
just
yeah.
everything that's gonna happen there. And man, we got a lot of awesome stuff, dude. I when this comes out, I will already have turned 25. It's my
Yes,
birth
I was
week,
gonna mention that.
so
I was gonna say as we wrap up, because you've got to go, but I was gonna say that, yeah, man. By the time that this posts tomorrow, it will be your birthday. So happy birthday, my
I
friend.
appreciate it, man. Yeah, so sorry for the short episode this week, guys. We have a special podcast stream that we're doing tonight with a Kings
Mhm.
beat writer that we couldn't pass up on when they were like, "Hey, you want to interview a Kings beat writer?" I was like, yeah, I do." Um, and
Yes,
so yeah, that's gonna be fun. But next
that's
week
kind of
we'll
why
have
we're like rushed and like trying to get it all out here.
yeah. And so next week is gonna be a much more normal
Yeah,
episode.
and I'm
Um,
hoping actually maybe next week might be a live episode. I'll talk to you about that later, but
yeah,
we'll see.
heck
So
yeah, that'd be fun, man.
yeah, anyways, the playoffs have been fun. Go Heat.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
hoping to see a Vegas team very soon. I want my own NBA team, quote unquote, and Vegas is sort of my home from home. Whoever is in Vegas is who I root for. So I am excited for that. Hopefully they will have a similar culture to the Heat and not
Please have
similar
a
to the Sixers.
please have cool branding.
Please have cool branding, and please have a good culture and not be a complete fucking nightmare, because I want to see good basketball, not shit basketball. We'll see what happens.
Build a strip club next to the locker room.
They will play at T-Mobile Arena, which is on the strip, but it is not by, well, no, I don't think it's by like an actual strip club. And if it is, it hasn't been a problem so far for the Golden Knights, so I think we'll
If
be all right.
James Harden's there will be one within 6 months.
I hate you. Uh, in any case, we love you guys, and we
Mhm.
will see you next week. Thank you for 1,000 of you, because hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
Uh,
man.
let's keep it going. Share with all your friends. Get it out there, because it really does truly help us. And we want to succeed in this
Yep.
because we hate our jobs, and we want this to be our job, because every single day I want to drive off a bridge, and I would like to do this instead so I don't feel like shit.
Yeah,
Please,
let's not
please,
drive off a bridge, but yeah, no,
let's
the
feel
goal,
good.
I'm hoping to make this my full-time thing by the end of the year, and
Exactly.
I'm hoping it can make it full-time for all of us in the next couple of years. So that's the more we can keep plugging along, the more we can keep doing this thing. We're gonna get there,
Indeed.
man. Uh,
Indeed.
well, hey everyone, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next week.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Ow!
oh, damn it! Get in there.